You wouldn't really like me if you knew my story. If you knew what horrible things I've done. I'm coming to grips with that. Because I have groups of people that I'm able to share all my horrible stuff with. Shameful, extremely shameful, dark stuff. Some of it is things I've taken from my parents and carried it a little further. Other ones, I've been able to drop some of that. Other ones I've picked up on my own and created, shame's a big thing for me.
And that was James Hetfield in a Road Recovery interview from 2015. And Road Recovery is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping young people battle addiction and other adversities by harnessing the influence of entertainment industry professionals, and so on and so on. So I recorded this podcast maybe a week or two ago, and I was about to, edit it and publish it, and then I happened upon this. This clip. I was doing some research just to make sure some things I said about Hetfield was accurate. So I just started searching for a bunch of things. I went down a rabbit hole, and I found this quote. And that quote, after I recorded the podcast about the Unforgiven III, kind of brought home the fact that we'll never know for sure unless he says it, and I don't think he says it. He has said it, Hetfield, that is. But I'm pretty sure this is what Unforgiven III is about. Forgiving oneself, and in Hetfield's case, forgiving himself for all the horrible things that he's done. Or at least part of the song is about that. So I'll get into some more detail. So consider this an intro to the intro of my podcast. So enjoy, everyone. Enjoy my take on the Unforgiven III. Oh, that was so menacing. So oh my goodness, that was my voice. What happened? I got a frog in my throat. Jeez. It probably doesn't help that I'm sitting in my truck and it's a little cold out because I'm doing laundry, but I can't do it in the laundromat. Even though there's no one there, there's just a lot of sound. Anyway, it's like 10:40 on a Tuesday night, and it's the only chance I have to do laundry. So it's probably my voice telling me, why are you doing laundry when we should be at home? Anyway, so when you hear Unforgiven I and Unforgiven II, they both have the same beginning. So I remember listening to the radio, and I would hear that intro, and it's even to this day, when I hear that intro, I never know if it's Unforgiven I and Unforgiven II. And since I love both those songs, it's a pleasant surprise to see which one it is. Well, I mean, that's on terrestrial radio, and if terrestrial radio doesn't tell you what song it is, like if I have my Sirius satellite radio playing, it'll let me know the song. But back in the good old, actually no, not the good old days, but back in the old days, I just wouldn't know. So with Unforgiven III, it's different because it doesn't begin with a. It begins with a piano and an orchestra, and it's. I listened to this at the laundromat, waiting for my laundry to finish, with my headphones on, and I got to start listening to these songs again with headphones because you just pick up so many different things. And even though I don't like the production of Death Magnetic, I still love the arrangement and the melody of the song. So the song begins with just a very haunting and very melancholy piano intro with an orchestra behind it. It's just the melody of it is really, really good. I just wish the sound was better. I wish the sound was like the Black Album Load and Reload kind of sound. Those albums were just more of a fuller sound, while Death Magnetic it's clipped, so it's just sounds like everything's flat like on one level, and the snare drum is almost has like a digital sound to it. It just sounds too compressed, I guess, which is ironic because I use a lot of compression on my voice, and I'm criticizing Metallica for it, but it doesn't have that full sound. But the sound is the worst part about the song, and I know sound is important, but the song itself is great. I was kind of I wouldn't say turned off to it. I really liked the song when I first heard Death Magnetic, and I liked the song as I listened to the album over the years, but I just couldn't get past the sound. But now I'm tolerating the sound a little more, even though I'm obviously criticizing it. But the musicianship in the song is awesome. So it starts off very, very beautiful and very melancholy, and then when the lyrics begin, which I'm going to go over shortly, it like during when James Hetfield is singing, the guitar line in it is so good. It's such a soaring melody, and the fact that he can sing and play this at the same time always amazes me. Just like with any Metallica song, because it's so complicated. I mean, singing and playing is hard enough, even for songs that are relatively easy to play. But when you have when you have some complicated songs like Metallica, it just shows what a talent Hetfield is. And he's also a talented lyric writer. I've heard his lyrics get criticized a little bit for being simplistic, but the fact that they are simplistic, I think, is what makes them great. And the fact that he sings them in a certain way, the way that he sings them, makes the lyrics better. He just puts everything into it. You can't accuse James Hetfield of not having a heart in his music, even if you don't necessarily like the Metallica songs. So let us begin with the lyrics. I think these lyrics are a little more straightforward than Unforgiven I and Unforgiven II, I guess a little less cryptic. And while Unforgiven I talks about how the subject of the song can't forgive the people around him, society, if you will. Unforgiven II talks about how the man in the song, the narrator in the song, the subject of the song, can't forgive the woman that he's with. He can't forgive the other. So Unforgiven I is I can't forgive them. Unforgiven II is I can't forgive you. Unforgiven III, and the lyrics make it obvious, is I can't forgive myself. So I think it's so brilliant that Hetfield was able to make a trilogy out of something so simple. They, you, and finally me. And I think maybe it's all interconnected. Can you forgive others if you can't forgive yourself? Maybe. I don't know. Possibly. Can you forgive yourself while not forgiving others? Sure. That makes sense too. That's what makes us humans. Humans are complicated. So, let's begin. The lyrics start by Hetfield singing, "How could he know this new dawn's light would change his life forever? Set sail to sea, but pulled off course by the light of golden treasure." So Hetfield's using a ship sailing analogy, which I don't believe he's ever used in any of his lyrics before or since. Just off the top of my head, I don't think he has. So I'm thinking this song is about him. So it's this new dawn's light would change his life forever, and it's gotta be just the fame of Metallica becoming the focal point of one of the biggest bands ever. So that's the new dawn light, and new dawn's light, and of course it's going to change his life forever. I mean, whose life wouldn't change because of that? So he set sail to sea, but he's pulled off course. Now, what's pulling him off course? Well, Hetfield has had many, many problems after Metallica became big. I mean, I'm sure he always had those problems, but the fact that you're in such, you have all these desires and all these temptations, and they're all fulfilled, and all these indulgences get increased more and more and more, and if you have that disposition to begin with, it's just a recipe for disaster, which it was. I mean, Hetfield almost lost his family because of his addiction. So the light of golden treasure is in his case, fame, fortune, glory, money, treasure itself. Being able to do what you want to do, as fantastic as it is, it does come with a downside. There's no such thing as a free lunch in anything, really. So was he the one causing pain with his careless dreaming? So this album was the first studio album after Saint Anger. And Saint Anger was, about a lot of Hetfield's troubles with addiction and rage and anger. But then also how he treated his family. In the Some Kind of Monster documentary, he misses his son's first birthday because he was too busy drinking in Russia. And so he, because of his dreaming, doing the things he wants to do, being on the road all the time, fulfilling the rock star dream, this lifestyle, and having a family could cause problems because you're not going to see your family. They're not going to see you all the time. Your dreaming is causing them pain, and then you're doing damage to yourself, and when you do damage to yourself, you're doing damage to your family. So he asked himself, was he the one causing pain with his careless dreaming? Possibly, but not necessarily. I guess it's how you handle fulfilling that dream, which I think he's doing really, really well now. He's making a balance with their touring and with the time that he spends with his family. The next lyrics are, been afraid, always afraid of the things he's feeling. Now, this is important, and I think it's one of the reasons why he had to go to rehab, because his drinking was a way to bury his feelings, to run from them. And not only from problems with his family and problems with his life. He never grieved the death of Cliff Burton. He just moved on. He just kept going on with the band, and who knows if he even grieved the death of his mother that happened tragically when he was a teenager still. And after his mother died, his father left, and his mother may have been able to survive. His mother died of cancer if they weren't Christian Scientists. His mother and father thought, well, God is going to heal me, so there's no point in taking medicine. And that is the danger of belief. Believing something without regards to the evidence around you, especially with something that's life and death. Like if you have psoriasis or something and you don't want any prescription cream and you feel, oh, well, I'm going to use coconut oil because I don't want to use these chemicals or whatever for this cream. Fine, use the goddamn coconut oil. You're not going to die from psoriasis. But when it comes to cancer, something that'll kill you, that's when things can get out of hand. So he's afraid of the things that he's feeling, and I think all of us are afraid sometimes of the things we're feeling. We don't want to admit that we might be angry at someone we love. We don't want to admit that we might be scared of something, especially being raised as a man, as a boy in the 80s and 90s, where it's like, you didn't want to show emotion as a man because that's something that girls do, and if you cry as a man, it shows that you're weak. Now, I think that it's been improving, and I grew up on Long Island too, which is especially toxic. But I think nowadays it's getting a little better, where we're showing boys, especially, that it's okay to cry. It's okay to show this emotion, maybe time and place. Maybe you could choose a better time and place to do it. You don't want to start screaming in public or whatever, but you need to share and show those feelings for you to feel better, or else it's going to come back around in some kind of way to get you, whether emotionally or I would sometimes argue, physical pain. So, and Hetfield has had some back issues too. I remember back in the early 2000s, they had to cancel shows because he just had really bad back problems, so bad that he couldn't play. So it goes on. He could just be gone. He would just sail on. He'll sail on. And listening to this song, especially today, today, I don't want to get into specifics, but today was just one of those days for me where
I just wanted to get on a plane, not on a boat, mind you. I've been on boats. I'd rather go on a plane, but I just wanted to get on a plane and go away and just fly to Europe somewhere, maybe one of the Scandinavian countries, and just walk somewhere and just go and see what happens. I just want to run away. I just want to run away from things that have been going on. And I can't really do that. Or maybe I could, but I just wouldn't have an end game. I wouldn't want to just go to Europe and go, oh, well, what am I going to do now? I kind of like to plan these kind of things. I wouldn't want to waste the opportunity money-wise and time-wise when I really have no plan. But Hetfield could sail on if he wanted to. It's not like he doesn't have the money. He really could just be gone. He really could. He would sail on. I guess he would if he could. And I wonder if Hetfield has thought of that before. Fuck it. I'm just going to go away. I'm just going to go off on my own. I can, but he realizes that he has these obligations. So the next lyrics are, how can I be lost if I've got nowhere to go? And that's an interesting line. I mean, it's such a cool play on words because obviously, literally, if you have nowhere to go, you can't be lost because you're not going anywhere. But figuratively, of course you're lost if you have nowhere to go. If you have no plans for the future, if you have no direction, that is a way of being lost. Unless you're happy with no direction, then fine, all the power to you. But, if your opportunities are dwindling and you don't have too many options, yes, that is a form of being lost. So search for seas of gold. How come it's got so cold? Now, this changes now in the lyrics because at the beginning, he's pulled off course by the light of golden treasure. So he sees it, but now he's still searching. So maybe he found some and he wants to search for some more. But it's cold. It's like you're getting colder. So cold can mean, you're physically cold and you're not comfortable, but cold can also mean, it's the search has been cold. That game you played when you were kids, it's like, I'm looking for this. Well, you're getting warmer, oh, you're getting colder. If you can't find something, you're getting colder. If you can find something, you're getting warmer. It's just a, that figure of speech. And then he asks himself, well, how can I be lost in remembrance I relive? So he's thinking back. Well, how can I be lost when I remember, the good times where I'm reliving those good times, being on the road, being a rock star, being adored by thousands of people, making great music, making great money, making great music, living your dream. But he's still lost even though he's remembering and he's reliving those good times over and over again. And then he says, how can I blame you? So in Hetfield's case, it could be, maybe his wife, or if this is just a nameless narrator, could be the you from Unforgiven II, or, it just could be someone else in general. But how can I blame you when it's me I can't forgive? So Hetfield, it sounds like, thinks that he can, well, he can't blame someone for something that he's done wrong and then he can't forgive himself for. So he's putting all the weight on his own shoulders. And we move on. Or do we move on? Or are we lost? So we go on to... Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So these days drift on inside a fog, thick and suffocating. So is it the road? Is he tired of the road? Is it just, a fog of alcohol and drugs and just not knowing where you are day after day, not knowing necessarily when you're leaving a city, or if you are, what time you're going to be in the next one because of all the time zones and the flying. So it's a fog, and then you're drunk all the time too. So that certainly doesn't help. These days drift on inside a fog, thick and suffocating. His sinking life, outside it's hell, inside intoxicating. So it's pretty clear, it seems, that because of the hell that's going on outside of his life, inside himself, he has to be intoxicating. So he needs to numb himself because of what's going on outside. So it goes to show you can have all the money in the world and all the fame and all the power and all of this and all of that, but inside, you could still be that little boy not the little boy, the teenager who lost his mom, the angry teenager who lost his mom, and then whose dad left him, and the 20-something who lost a dear friend. So there's a lot of stuff going on inside him. So, which means that it's intoxicating. So he's run aground like his life. So party's over, man. There's no more water. The ship is stopped. And water much too shallow. He can't go anywhere. He's stuck. Slipping fast down with his ship. Not the ship. His ship himself. Fading in the shadows. So that's interesting because Metallica never really faded. I mean, they've had their ups and downs, but touring-wise, they were never one of those bands who, after like 10 years, after 5 years of playing stadiums, they're all of a sudden playing the small clubs again. It's like, no, they're if anything, getting bigger and bigger. So I wonder if he felt around this time, maybe after the criticism of Saint Anger, or I don't know, it could be anything, that he felt like they're fading. Or that could be a fear of his. Or it's not even the band, it's just himself is fading in the shadows away from the people that he cares about and who care about him. So I think these are some of Hetfield's deepest fears, and so in a way he is showing us his feelings. He's just not doing it in a personal way or a private way like with a therapist. He's doing it with the songs. And I think I would imagine he still goes to some kind of therapy to deal with his sobriety. That's what I think anyway. So now a castaway. Ooh, by himself. He's alone. They've all gone away. They've gone away. So it's, I guess, all the people who care about him, his friends, his loved ones, his enemies. He's just by himself now because maybe the fact that he can't forgive himself means that he's lonely. So even if he's not lonely, even if there are people around him, if you can't forgive yourself or if you're having inner turmoil, it could feel very, very lonely, especially if the people around you don't support you in the way that you would like them to, in order to get help. So he repeats, "How can I be lost if I got nowhere to go? Search for seas of gold. How come it's got so cold?" And then repeats himself. So then he goes to the next new lyrics are "Forgive me not," which I think is a callback to Unforgiven II, where the line is, "She loves me not, she loves me still." So it's forgive me not, love me, forgive me not, love me not. He's going back and forth. And talking about Unforgiven II, I think that might have been the first Metallica song, and I don't know if they have other if any of their other songs mention love in it, but I'm pretty sure Unforgiven II was the first one to do so, and it might be the only one. I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's any other song, any of their original songs mention love like Unforgiven II does. So if I'm wrong, please contact me and let me know. So then this is probably the best part of the song coming up. So it's a forgive me not, in the music it starts to go into a crescendo, but then he goes forgive me not, and then he goes, why can't I forgive me? But the way he says it, it's not like the Hetfield, like the yeah kind of scream. It's him going like, why can't I forgive me? Like that, just like a howl, which he doesn't necessarily, at least during the Death Magnetic time, really really sang like that. Saint Anger, he was just screaming uncontrollably and it was raw, but that kind of wow, he didn't really show in too many songs that I can recall. And then after that, Why Can't I Forgive Me? It goes into Hammett's solo. Now, I knew there was a solo in this, and there's solos all over Death Magnetic because it's probably Hammett going, listen, you motherfuckers, you didn't have me solo on Saint Anger, even though in Some Kind of Monster, Hammett's making it quite clear that it's a big mistake, and Hammett was right. Looking back, it was a big mistake not having solos in Saint Anger. He made that argument. They shot him down, and I'm just glad Hammett's back doing solos. And I think that at least on the 30th anniversary concert when they did Dirty Windows, I think it was Dirty Windows, Hammett put a solo in there, I think. And I think if they do end up doing Saint Anger songs again, which I hope they do, not only will the sound be better, I hope that Hammett can add some solos in it when they do it live. But, so this solo is fantastic. The only downside about this solo is the sound of it. Again, it sounds like a little clipped, but man, does Hammett go nuts on this. Like, nuts on his guitar sound that kind of sounds almost like video game digital-like when he gets really high on the frets. He's just going all over the place. It might be one of Hammett's best solos. You gotta listen to this solo and listen to it with headphones. It is so good. It is so good. It really ranks up there with one of his best. It's just classic. Just an awesome solo. It's probably like that. Why Can't I Forgive Me? Then into the solo is probably the best part of the song. Then along with the intro. Who am I kidding? The whole song is great, but those are the highlights. The highlights for me. So then he kind of repeats. With the lyrics, set sail to sea, but pulled off course by the light of golden treasure. How could he know this new Don's life would change his life forever? Do you notice how I said Dawn? Because I'm from Long Island, and as much as I try not to speak in my Long Island accent, it fucking creeps out every once in a while. Oh my God, I'm so ashamed. I can't forgive myself for having a Long Island accent. Oh, I got problems. So and then the lyrics go on repeating, how can I be lost, blah 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 blah. So there's no more new lyrics after that. So great song. I don't like Unforgiven 1 and 2 kind of go with each other as far as sounds and melody and kind of a recurring theme. Lyric wise, I think it fits, but music-wise, I don't necessarily know if it does. It's almost like they wrote the music first, and then Hetfield said, well, let's just make this an Unforgiven 3. Because Unforgiven 2 musically goes along, but like Unforgiven 3 doesn't. It doesn't mean it's not a good song. I think it's a great song. It's just when you put it together, musically it just doesn't seem to fit. But lyrically it does. Just a great song. The sound could be better, but listen, what can I do? I don't think they're going to record it. They have performed it live. I haven't really watched too many live versions of it. I remember I saw them on the Death Magnetic tour. Was that the last time I saw them? Holy shit, that was the last time I saw them. I haven't seen them in 10 years. Oh, I'm getting Metallica withdrawals. It's not my fault. Actually, it's not my fault that they're so popular and that the concert, just the Hardwired tour, sold out so fast. And now, if you have a certain credit card, you can get first dibs. If you're this, you can get first dibs. And I didn't have any dibs, so I couldn't see them. But I saw them on a Death Magnetic tour. They didn't do Unforgiven 3 when I saw them, but even the sound, their live sound, they played really well, but their live sound just wasn't too great from what I remember. I do have a recording of the concert. Now, granted, it's not mixed, but the sound wasn't too good. Like, Trujillo's bass was really clicky, and when I did see him live, Hetfield's voice it sounded like his voice was cracking a lot, which is funny because my voice is cracking a lot during this podcast. So he just might have had an off night vocally. I mean, they were great energy. They were happy to be there. It's just sound wise, even the guitars just didn't sound, I guess, crunchy enough. It just sounded, for lack of a better term, clicky. So I guess kind of the live show went along with the sound on the album. But what was it? Oh yeah, so Unforgiven III live. It's good, but I don't know if they played it anytime after the Death Magnetic Tour, the World Magnetic Tour. I hope they do, but I mean, they have so many songs they need to play, and the concerts are long to begin with. They do play for a while. I wish they could play for like 10 hours and play all the songs. But, I don't know, maybe one of these days they can have like a deep tracks kind of show somewhere in a small club. That would be really cool. Or do like the fans voting for stuff again. That would be nice. So, what is also nice is the fact that you listen to me talk about my favorite band and some of my favorite songs from my favorite band. And Unforgiven III is it's not, I wouldn't call it like it's my favorite song on Death Magnetic is The Day That Never Comes, but Unforgiven III is pretty close. So I guess sure, one of my favorite Metallica songs. Why not? Definitely my favorite band. But yeah, so thanks for listening. It's really nice for you to listen. If you want to rate and share this podcast, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you've listened to it, please do so. It gets me more attention. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my name is Mike Lane. I'm at Mike Lane Act on Twitter. That's MikeLaneAct. You can find me on Facebook at Mike Lane Actor. You can email me at mikelaneact@yahoo.com. It'd be great to hear from you Metallica fans. Even if you're not a Metallica fan, if I got you to at least listen to the song, that's great too. So feel free to email me about anything. This podcast is called Music, Movies, and More, and there will be more of it sometime soon. So thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, have a good one.